Welcome to Medical Sales Live, the #1 resource for breaking into medical sales and building your career.
Hey, Angie. It's so good to see you.
Likewise. Good to see you too.
Wow. Welcome to MS Live. We are honored to have you on today as our guest. It has been, it's great to see you again. It's been a while. Thank you so much for leaning forward your partnership with the Medical Sales College. We are so proud to have you part of our business.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to partner with you as well.
Hey, Angie, why don't you maybe just kind of start off and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story prior to your current role in BD.
Sure. Happy to do that. I would start by saying I'm a bit of a unique fish in the sales leader pond in that I'm actually an engineer by training. So I spent the first chunk of my career in the lab designing medical devices, eventually moving into marketing after getting my MBA at night school, and then into a role in medical affairs, and then finally dipping my toe in the sales water, starting as a clinical specialist, and then a rep, and then a regional manager, and then kind of zigzagging back and forth between sales leadership and sales operations roles before ultimately becoming a vice president of sales here at BD, which has just been an amazing experience.
Tell us more about that, Angie. I mean, you've over your career, you have had such tremendous influence on so many. And now in your current position with BD, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what your role is and tell us about BD in and of itself, right? And some of the great things that you all are doing there.
So my role at BD is I'm the vice president of sales for our Urology and Critical Care division. And my particular business unit is made up of 4 different, fairly unique platforms. And so it's just been a really wonderful opportunity to build a culture and bring people together to enable synergies in knowledge and expertise in relationships, you name it. And in terms of the company itself, I've been at BD for about a year now. And I would have to say that just like most great organizations, what makes them great is the people. Not just the talent level, because it is really high at BD. I'm always humbled by the other people in the room, but because of how passionate and dedicated they are to helping the patients that they serve. Whether it be literally increasing survival odds of critically ill patients with our hypothermia therapy, to enabling our incontinence patients at home to lead lives with dignity. I am surrounded by amazing people who are energized to wake up every day to make a difference in patients' lives.
Oh, that's such a great story, Angie. And I really sincerely believe that you have humbled so many in your career path that, you know, so many people have looked at you with such admiration. And I think you've developed so many people over the years. I'd love for you to share with us, you know, what do you see when you think about a sales rep and a salesperson? What do you feel like are those key attributes and skill sets that the best salespeople have?
You know, John, when I first decided to finally try my hand at sales, my manager, Brenda Bledsoe, gave me the Little Red Book of Selling. I'm sure you've seen it, read it, heard of it. And the basic message is pretty simple. People buy from people they like and trust. I don't care if it's athletic shoes or complicated medical devices. Relationships and trust matter. So if you can show your customers that you care about their success, which means you ultimately care about their patients, the sales success will follow. And I would add that those who understand that selling is a marathon, not a sprint, that every action has a consequence, and that sometimes the best thing to do to earn credibility is to actually recommend your competitor's product. Those are the salespeople that get it.
I would echo that and agree with that 100%. It reminds me of that quote from John Maxwell that says, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." I love that. It just, that's such an eloquent way of saying that. I'm so glad you shared this with us. So you have to have people coming to you all of the time saying, Angie, I sincerely, like, I would love to have a career like yours. I'd love to accomplish what you've been able to accomplish in your career. How do I get into sales? What do you share with somebody that says that?
So I do get that question a lot. And I think the answer typically depends on the company and the particular space. I suspect that most companies are looking for candidates who have some level of selling experience. Some companies will require more specifically prior med device, or even more specifically capital or diagnostic or structural heart experience. But if you are just breaking in, I would say be open to getting any kind of medical space exposure you can, even if that means working some type of job in a hospital or clinic, because just being able to navigate and understand how healthcare operates is valuable in itself. I would also say be open to, say, inside sales roles, as this model is growing, and it is a great way to prove yourself to an organization and earn your own territory in a relatively short period of time.
That's great counsel. And I think that, there's so many people who want to get into medical sales that would gladly take that advice, Angie, but it's tough getting in. What obstacles do you see for, people who are trying to break into that industry just to get that first shot, to get that one job, to get that one chance?
I suspect most people get you need med device sales experience to get into med device sales, which is where medical sales college comes in, right? I would say that in my experience, people that I've hired into their first medical sales role are some of the blind spots that you asked about. They're typically most surprised by the amount of influence that people besides the physician have on the product selection and utilization decisions. How contractual in nature the space has become. So you need to be able to articulate not just the clinical value your product or portfolio brings, but also the economic value as well, have become significantly more important in terms of the skill sets needed to be successful today.
No question about it. Thank you so much for the endorsement as well. We really appreciate that. And I it's a segue really into that natural next question of saying, can just share with myself and the rest of our viewers of why you and the organization at BD have decided to partner with the Medical Sales College.
So BD is partnering with MSC because what you do, essentially train people to be a medical device sales rep, which is very specific, is so unique and so valuable. Recruiting and hiring the right people is the single most important thing that we do as leaders, as you taught me. And this program allows us to feel confident that we're hiring people that have already learned about some of the basic things like hospital etiquette and sterile field navigation that we usually have to train them after we hire them. And it allows us to use your assessment tools to ensure we're hiring the best talent. And lastly, it allows us to draw from a large pool of candidates all around the country, because our talent needs are constant and fluid.
Nothing in that job description that you shared with talked about orthopedic products. And at the Medical Sales College, our clinical curriculum is orthopedic. So, gosh, connect the dots for me here.
In my experience, John, selling is selling. So hiring someone who was trained to sell ortho products is more akin to the selling roles that we have than hiring someone with no medical device experience at all. And I would say that, again, understanding how to navigate the hospital setting is not that unique between the ortho suite to the ICU to the OR to the cath lab, etc. So even though it's not the exact same, it's still incredibly valuable.
I appreciate that affirmation. So tell me, you mentioned also just one of the benefits that you saw was some of the assessment and some of the selection opportunities. We do offer, ZeroFee recruiting as for our graduates. I'd love to get your perception of that and, your thoughts around that, maybe how some of your leaders have been able to incorporate that.
John, I think the ZeroFee recruiting tool is one of the most valuable pieces of the partnership between BD and MSC. I mean, what an incredible tool to have this massive pool of qualified candidates all over the country for us to draw from. So when we have an open territory, our hiring managers or talent acquisition folks can go to the database, find candidates who live there now or potentially open to relocation, and start from there. It's incredibly valuable.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Angie, tell us a little bit about the scholarships that BD and yourself are sponsoring, and really what you hope to achieve through this initiative.
So BD, as most companies are, which is fantastic to see, has a very strategic and a very significant effort towards improving inclusion and diversity and equity across our corporation. And so when you approached me about this scholarship opportunity, I just thought it was an incredible way for us to demonstrate a very tangible and a very intentional way to improve the diversity in our sales force. And so we are going to start with 2 scholarships, one on either side of the country. And can't wait to look at the candidates who are going to apply and to narrow it down to those 2 people who ultimately we hope are able to join our organization after they've completed the course. And I just can't wait for this, like I said, again, to be a great starting point for this partnership.
Well, good fortune they will be if they have an opportunity to work for you and your team. So we are excited as we're just getting started with that, just to find some incredibly talented individuals that will have that opportunity, not only to attend MSC, but certainly in hopes of them joining the BD organization and working for you as they move forward. So thank you for that vote of confidence.
Absolutely.
So Angie, as we kind of wrap things up, what would you say to those individuals who, may come to you and as they're thinking about their career and their futures, who are considering, an opportunity in medical sales, or even considering, attending the medical sales college? What counsel, what advice would you have for those individuals?
I feel so incredibly grateful that as a naive engineering student, I literally stumbled onto this whole medical device industry. And while designing products was really rewarding, spending the past dozen or so years in various sales roles where you get to be front row and an integral part of patient care is an incredibly rewarding career. So if you are a purpose-driven individual who isn't afraid of a good challenge, I highly, highly recommend it. And if you want a leg up in breaking into this field, like we've discussed, I think investing 13 weeks, which goes by in a flash, into the MSc program will pay incredible dividends and will be one of the best career decisions you could make. I mentor a lot of people, and one of the common pieces of advice I give is to take a proactive role in your career path. Don't just wait for it to play out. So pursuing and investing in the MSc program, in my mind, is doing just that, putting yourself in a much more competitive position when these types of roles become available.
Angie, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you today. It's great to reconnect. I am so excited about, our partnership and really, I think what, these scholarships will yield. And I know this is just the first step in a long partnership and a long journey together. So thank you.
You're welcome, John. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Medical Sales Live. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel for the latest in all things medical sales.